Put you in the movies. On a movie screen, everybody is 40 feet tall.
Not because I is doing 40 for the Magnum.
Il Hugio Movie Stario.
Billy Crystal is a Hollywood agent who masterminds the career of a giant talent played by NBA star George Murison in My Giant. It's one of 6 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Billy Crystal is one of the funniest actors in the movies right now, and his talent sparkles in the opening scenes of My Giant before the movie slowly but decisively loses its way in the thickets of manufactured sentimentality. He plays a talent agent on location in Romania who was saved from drowning by 2 enormous hands that seemed to belong to God but actually belong to a local giant.
Oh, please don't say fee-fi-fo-fum.
And that, of course, is George Murison, in real life a star for the Washington Wizards, but in this movie, a lost soul who yearns for someone to talk with.
Sam, tonight we speak of many things. We speak of Mr. William Shakespeare.
Shakespeare?
You know who he is?
Sure. He had a lot of good stuff.
Crystal gets fired by his most important client, and his whole career now depends on steering this gentle giant into a Hollywood movie role. They return to the States where the big guy encourages the little guy to reconcile with his wife.
So who's Glenn?
He's a nice guy.
That's Kathleen Quinlan as the wife. Just when the movie seems mired in tear-jerking sincerity like that, it's rescued briefly by a very funny performance by Steven Seagal playing himself.
Steven, what do you think about him as the bad guy? The fact of the matter is that he's much bigger than me, and as you know, that's not good.
May I, sir? Isn't that actually the point?
I don't think so.
No, see, I have this theory about heroes and villains.
I know.
The bigger the villain...
Shut up.
Okay.
There's a setup here that could have delivered a very funny movie, and Crystal was right to sense that George Murison was equal to the challenge. But then My Giant gets all serious and awkwardly heartwarming, and the humor gets misplaced, and it's like they're trying to make some kind of a universal, you know, Chaplin...
Yeah, message of love.
Message of love. Too bad.
Yes, just be funny. I mean, and certainly Billy Crystal can do it. I agree with you. The sentimentality doesn't mean anything. No. And you could have had a lot of fun trying to milk Murison with all the different Hollywood ways and have him conspire with other agents and deal with shoe companies and endorsements, a clothing line.
Of course, the scene with Steven Seagal gives you a taste of what they could have done.
Sure.
Why not put him on one of the talk shows? Why not put him on in some kind of a premiere situation, an autographing situation?
I got a sight gag. Put him in a new version of the Hollywood Squares, but he has to be through 2 squares.
Listen,
see, I mean, wouldn't that be funny?
There are 1,000 ideas that they could have used here, and instead that we just get this cornball
Just
stuff.
play it logically and funny, and how a guy like that would actually be exploited in Hollywood. Okay, next movie, and it's The Odd Couple 2. And as bad as My Giant is, this is worth, because Odd Couple 2 is a pathetic sequel to a comedy classic, once again starring Walter Matthau as Oscar Madison, the messy one, and Jack Lemmon as Felix Unger, the obsessively neat one. And this whole lifeless project with hoary old jokes plays as a desperate attempt to cash a big paycheck for 2 veteran stars who probably don't need the money. There isn't a witty moment in this script, which was written by the character's creator, Neil Simon. Amazing.
Don't you take them with water?
What, the local water? Oh, water from around here? Don't you know how many pesticides they have in the local water?
Lower your voice, will you? People in here don't know they're going to be dead in a week.
I said hoary old jokes. Here's a sample of the film's toilet humor.
Open the window, will you? I want to throw the water out.
It is open.
Matthau doesn't look like he's having a good time, and Jack Lemmon hasn't stooped this low in years because he's been making a series of decent dramatic pictures. These guys can't be that financially desperate, can they? To soil their reputations with junk like this? A big thumbs down from me on The Odd Couple 2.
Thumbs down for me, too, although I suppose it looked like a natural to make a sequel with Neil Simon writing the screenplay, and I suppose nobody had the nerve to tell Neil Simon he'd written a really, really bad screenplay.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Mr. Simon, you may be the most prolific playwright in Broadway history, but this is junk.
Yeah.
Nobody would tell him that, and so they went ahead and filmed the movie. Now, if you want to see them in a good screenplay, look at their last film together, Out to Sea. That was a charming film.
They did have charm.
They were funny. They were given characters to play, good dialogue, a fun situation.
And people to play off with.
Of course. This movie is completely dispensable.
I like your use of the word junk better than the word dispensable. Coming up later, a student enters the world of exotic dancing in the Players Club. And coming up next, Nicolas Cage as an angel who falls in love with Meg Ryan in City of Angels.
I'll wait all day just hoping for one more minute with you. I don't even know you. Mr. Messenger?
Right now?
Yeah.
You.
Meg Ryan plays a doctor who, after hours at the hospital, encounters a stranger played by Nicolas Cage there, and that scene from City of Angels. And their conversation is a lot more significant than it seems because the Cage character is an angel. Humans aren't supposed to be able to see him, but she can. And eventually, almost reluctantly, he falls in love with her. He discusses the process here with a fellow angel played by Andre Braugher.
That doctor in the operating room, she looked right at me.
She didn't see you, Seth. She can't see you. No one can see you unless you want them to.
And if I want her to.
At first, she has no idea, of course, that he's an angel, even though he tries to tell her.
I'm a messenger.
Oh. Well, what kind of messenger? Like a bike messenger?
No, I'm a messenger of God.
Got a message for me?
I already gave it to you.
Well, did you use my pager? Because I usually don't get my messages unless you beat me.
One day, the angel meets a character named Nathaniel Messenger, played by Dennis Franz, who reveals himself as a former angel and describes the process of falling to earth.
You take the plunge, the tumble, the dive. You jump off a bridge, you leap out a window, you just make up your mind to do it, and you do it. You wake up all smelly and aching from head to toe and hungrier than you've ever been in your life, only you have no idea what hunger is or any of that stuff, so it's all real confusing and painful, but very, very good.
Human.
City of Angels, directed by Brad Silberling, is based on the famous 1988 film Wings of Desire by Wim Wenders, which is on many lists of the great films of our time. But despite their similar premises, these films are so different that it would really be unfair to compare them. City of Angels has been spiced up with a more detailed love story, with lots of emergency room drama, and with a surprise ending that doesn't really quite work, but it's a warm, entertaining film with a glowing performance by Meg Ryan. Nicolas Cage is sometimes a little too wet-eyed and self-consciously angelic, I think, but his performance kind of works too. Not a great film, but on its own level, it delivers the goods.
Gee, I didn't care for it, Roger, and on this basis, that I didn't buy them as lovers. And I think this picture has to work at that level. In other words, strip away the angel episode, the whole premise. For example, in Ghost, which I think this film is probably closer in spirit to, I felt that Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore had a real relationship, and I wanted, and they were given enough time to have one. Here, I just felt that the gimmick of the angels just dwarfed any relationship between the two of them.
I don't think the emphasis here was on a physical relationship, if that's what you mean. I think she says at one point, she says, I just know that I've met this other, I've met the right person.
I know
that. Well, but she says it, she's good in this movie. Now, come on, Gene.
She's a very attractive personality. There's
in
no
this
question.
film. But
she's
good as the character.
In general, come on.
She's good as this character.
But, you know, Nicolas Cage is one of our finest actors.
Yes, he is.
I don't think that this, frankly, now you'd think, she playing an angel is a stretch. No, I don't think that he is as charismatic in this film as he has been playing lots of mortals.
Okay, coming up next, the rap star and movie actor Ice Cube makes his film writing and directing debut in the Players Club.
Have anybody ever told you you look just like the father from Good Times?
Wake up.
I am up.
How do you expect to pass your finals if you sleep through every one of my lectures?
Oh, I'm gonna pass.
A young woman can barely stay awake in class because of the long hours she works at night as a stripper in The Players Club, a raunchy, violent, and mostly stupid action picture about what could happen to a good girl, a single young mom, who was forced to make ends meet while studying toward a journalism career. The Players Club was written and directed by the rap star Ice Cube, and he displays no flair for filmmaking other than to break a lot of glass in the film's many fight sequences. We follow the fortunes of Diana, played by Lisa Ray, who gets recruited at her shoe store job by two strippers at the Players Club who make more money than she does.
You could be making a lot more money than what you're making up in here if you would just use what you got to get what you want and stop messing with this chump change.
Drawn to Diana at his own peril is the strip club DJ named Blue, played by Jamie Foxx, who is nervous after meeting Diana's trigger-happy father.
Man, so where you taking my little girl tonight? Your little girl?
Yes.
Oh, right. Your little girl. I was thinking, well, maybe I'd take her out to eat. Maybe we'll go for a movie or something. And pretty good at what you're doing.
The other key character in this parade of stereotypes is the club's owner, nicknamed Dollar Bill, played by Bernie Mac, who is heavily in debt to a mobster, forcing him to treat his employees badly.
All you do is spin records. That's all you do. Who you think he is? DJ Quick? Huh? Kick and Pre? Huh? Oh, you must be Jimmy Walker. Well, you ain't nothing. You don't deserve nothing. You don't get nothing. You get what I give you. I got a contract between me and you that say you do what I tell you to do. Therefore, don't say nothing. Don't speak to me. Don't look at me.
Now, if this movie, The Players Club, had been made 20 years ago, we would have understood it in the context of the so-called blaxploitation pictures coming out then from Hollywood. Cheap, violent productions with a lot of energy. Well, this film is cheap and violent, but doesn't have much energy. Today, this retro look is truly tedious to sit through. Ice Cube should grow up beyond this lame girl-in-the-hood story if he ever hopes to make another movie, and that's a big if.
I don't think you're being fair to the movie, Gene.
Oh, really? You liked it?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
I liked it a lot. First of all, look at the characters. Look at Bernie Mac, who plays the nightclub owner. How colorful, how his dialogue,
cartoonish.
His behavior is original. You haven't seen that before. The doorman in the nightclub. That's a great little comic performance.
Yeah, Roger,
Lisa Ray, the leading actress.
Wait a minute. I've seen big thugs like Dollar Bill in lots of pictures.
You haven't seen this character before in any movie that you can name. You cannot name a character like this. His comic dialogue is so funny. His whole attitude toward how he runs that club, his personal mannerisms, his timing.
No, Roger.
Then I also want to say something about the star, Lisa Ray, who plays this girl who is a college student, who gets this job and who keeps her distance from it so that you see this world in a very interesting way. Another thing I like, there isn't a single person who dies in this movie. Did you notice that? That nobody dies in the movie?
No, I didn't notice that.
No, because the interesting thing is it's all about the dynamic of the situation.
I was more interested in how empty and cartoonish their lives were as opposed to their deaths. Or the absence of
they're not these are characters.
You don't think Dollar Bill is a cartoon?
People you haven't seen before.
You don't think Dollar Bill is a cartoon?
I know a cartoon. What do you mean by a cartoon?
Oh, you mean you don't know what I mean by a cartoon?
I don't know what you mean if you're talking about Dollar Bill. He's an original character, a character role with a character actor in it.
A cartoon would be, I would say, something broadly drawn, would be cartoonish.
He's very specifically drawn. His dialogue, his mannerisms, his quirks, his behavior.
He's no different than a big bouncer, basically.
Oh, come on.
But he's running the club.
Come on. That's not fair.
Okay, the film isn't very good. When we come back, the big one, Michael Moore's attack on downsizing in America.
You want to shut it off? Yeah, shut it off. What are you doing?
Declared open season on the downsizing practices of corporate America. When he went on a national book tour 7 years later in 1996 for his book Downsize This, he took along cameras and covered stories along the way that indicate America is still not downsized enough to suit top management. His new documentary, The Big One, shows workers out of work all over the country, including Milwaukee, where Johnson Controls moves jobs to Mexico and wins Moore's Downsizer of the Year award.
You've had hard times here, right?
No, we haven't had hard times.
No. You've only made $500 million in the last 3 years in profits.
Yeah, our company is reasonably successful, and we're committed to continuing to be successful.
Then why would you leave Milwaukee if you're successful?
Because we need to remain competitive in our businesses, so...
You mean you want to be more successful, right?
We need to continue to be successful, that's right.
And the families here who will lose their jobs?
At an appearance in Madison, Wisconsin, his audience is surprised to find out workers have been replaced by prisoners in at least one airline reservation service.
You're in prison and you're taking airline reservations and you're sending people to the Bahamas, and you can't even walk outside.
I think it's like a corporational thing, so TWA doesn't have to hire people and they can pay less, because if you go into a job at TWA, they're gonna pay you $7, $8, $9 an hour.
One corporate executive does agree to talk to him, Nike's Phil Knight, who keeps on smiling in the face of more zingers.
I've got here 2 tickets, one in my name and one in your name, for you and I to go to Indonesia together. All right, and you show me those factories, you explain this to me, right? I'll show you what's going on Sunday.
Oh, no, not a chance.
Huh?
Moore's vision of America doesn't line up with all the recent talk about low unemployment and prosperity. He talks to hourly workers who have to hold down 2 or even 3 $5 an hour jobs to make ends meet. The big one is angry and funny and about equal measure, and while it lacks the inspired and savage wit of Roger and me, it's smart and high-spirited.
And it's also sincere. He does care, and you can see that, and that's what I like best about the film, that he does care. He's not just taking cheap shots. Oh, there are some cheap shots. I mean, if you put a camera on a security guard, or I mean, what do you expect? Yeah. I mean, of course they're going to be embarrassed, and a little of that goes a long way. But still, as I study the film, this man cares about the average working man, and does ask repeatedly one question, which is, how much is enough profit versus the greater good of employing workers? And that is important because, and we've said this about American movies, they're not interested in the working man. They're not interested in work, the conditions of work.
Basically, his argument is, it's not all for the shareholders. A company also ought to exist for the good of its workers, for their security, and for them to be able to raise their families and to have medical benefits. It's not all just for the stock price.
I think he would serve himself well and serve the film even better if he had dealt with specifically the issue you raised, which is the unemployment, the low unemployment figures that we hear about, and how that statistic can be legitimately challenged or put in proper context. That's a failing of the film. When we come back, an offbeat comedy set in Ireland in the 1960s, The Butcher Boy is next. The film is called The Butcher Boy, and I think it's a minor effort from the fine Irish filmmaker Neil Jordan, whose better films include The Crying Game and even An Interview with a Vampire. The Butcher Boy is a study of a young lad in a small Irish town in the 1960s. Family life isn't good for young Francie, whose father is a drunk and whose mother has been in a psychiatric clinic.
Cakes, 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 buns, 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 my ma the bun woman.
I ask you, Joe, how many cakes can Uncle Otto eat?
Francie becomes obsessed with a well-to-do local woman who once called his family pigs. He sets out to intimidate her.
1 of 6, please.
Heavens sake, you don't have to pay money to go by here.
Sorry, Mrs. Station, but a tax is a tax. You don't pay it. It's not going to be fair to everybody else, is it?
Tax? What are you talking about, tax?
I told tax, Mrs. Nugent. I have work to do. I can't sit about here all day. So come on now. 1 shilling plus 6 pence.
That's Eamon Owens as Francie. When he's hired at a local butcher shop, we get a hint of where his anger might lead him next.
You know what it is, Francie? I think you're getting big.
He is indeed. Him with the big chop and all.
Francie Brady, that butcher boy.
Ah, Francie, you're a ticket.
I was certainly sad about the boy's situation in this story. How can you not be? But that's as far as the film took me. This movie is based on a prize-winning novel, but I've seen so many films from this part of the world dealing with disturbed young people in terrible, troubled family situations that left much more of an indelible impression on me than The Butcher Boy. So, thumbs down.
Thumbs down for me, too, although kind of marginal.
Yes.
I mean, I did like Eamon Owens' performance. This kid is a natural actor.
Yes,
I think we're going to see a lot more of him. But somehow, the movie itself didn't involve me, even my sympathy, which you at least got your sympathy going. I was looking at, from the outside, the whole way, the stylistic devices of the film kept me at a distance from the people.
Yeah, I was surprised. And Neil Jordan is a major filmmaker.
Yes,
I just don't know why he didn't really hook into this story in a deeper way. And sometimes he'll use fable and, fanciful sequences. We really didn't get it here.
Oh, we had a lot of fanciful sequences here. All the magic realism, the pigs and everything.
Yeah, but in previous films, it's always worked so spectacularly.
Not this time.
No, it doesn't. Now let's recap the movies on this show. 2 thumbs down for My Giant, with Billy Crystal as a Hollywood agent peddling a Romanian giant. 2 thumbs down, way down, for the singularly unfunny, desperate comedy The Odd Couple 2, with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon trading heavily on their good names. A split vote on City of Angels, the ghost-like story of Angel Nicolas Cage falling in love with Meg Ryan. I didn't buy them as a couple or the major conceit of the movie. Roger liked it enough, especially Meg Ryan, to recommend it. A major split vote on The Players Club. I thought it was a cheap, violent action picture from first-time director Ice Cube. Roger thought it told a colorful story with colorful characters. 2 marginal thumbs up for the big one, Michael Moore's freewheeling diary of his efforts on behalf of American workers. And finally, 2 thumbs down on The Butcher Boy, the story of an alienated Irish youth.
Remember, you can hear our reviews on the web at Siskel-Ebert.com. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including Night Watch, a thriller starring Ewan McGregor, Nick Nolte, and Patricia Arquette, and also The Object of My Affection with Jennifer Aniston falling for the man of her dreams. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.